Hey guys, welcome back to my channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Today we're going to be talking about a stock that's been around since 1901, and it's one that I've actually been trading pretty actively over the last couple of months. It's none other than Walgreens Boots Alliance. Before we get into it, please take a second to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's jump right in. So as you can see in the thumbnail, this is a stock that I've actually done pretty well on so far. I just recently closed out a call option for a 325% profit, so I wanted to share that with you guys before we get into the actual bullish thesis. At the end of the video, we will talk about some of the other option trades that I have out. You can see here on the screen right now. And we'll also talk about 3 reasons I feel like this company still has a lot of room to run. So to go through the first option trade here, the one that I've actually closed out, this is one that I got into kind of in the middle of December. So it was a 37.5 strike call, long call on Walgreens Boots Alliance. It had an expiration of April 16th. So we'll talk about expiration and theta and stuff like that here later in the video. But this essentially was a 136-day duration. So just over 4 months, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. Delta was 0.55. Again, we can talk about Delta a little bit later in the video, why I like to buy in that kind of 0.5 to 0.7 range. And I actually paid an average cost of $3.88 per contract here. So options are sold in 100 blocks or 100 shares per contract. So that worked out to $388 per contract. I bought 2 of them. So you can see here my book value is just under $800. Now, if you fast forward, actually just to January 27th here, so only a few days ago, I was able to sell both of these contracts at $1,650 each, or $1,650, which worked out to $3,300 total sale value. So if you take out my buy price, we're looking at a profit just over $2,500, which equates to a 325% return, hence the thumbnail, 3x call option. And we held this one for 57 days. So in under 2 months, we were able to get a 325% return. If we annualize that out, that's almost 2,100% on a yearly basis. Now, I still think there's a lot of upside in this stock. We're going to talk about a few reasons why, but I wanted to open up with a real life practical example of how I've profited off this company, just so you guys can see really the proof is in the pudding here. Now, if we jump into my actual Questrade account, just for all you naysayers, I did want to show the actual trade itself here, so you can see sell to close 2 quantity, $1,650 each. That was done on January 27th, and you can see here I've now bought a couple more options with a July 16th expiration, and we'll talk about these towards the end of the video. Now, I mentioned a few times I'm still bullish on this stock. There's really 3 main reasons for that, and we're going to go into these kind of in chronological order in terms of the most recent. So this news came out last week, and I think this is going to be awesome for the stock. They've actually got a new CEO. They're bringing over Roz Brewer, who was formerly Chief Operating Officer at Starbucks and also sits on the board of Amazon. So a fairly big player. She's obviously well connected in the industry, has a great track record, and the stock actually jumped up 5% on this news last week. It came out on Wednesday the 27th. The stock jumped up pretty nicely. You can see here up 5.3% and then did pull back from there. And that's actually when I sold those options. I was kind of taking a sell on news approach, and I'm glad I did as the stock has pulled back a few dollars from that point. So that's number 1. I think this will inject a big shot of life into the company, and I think this is great news to get new up-and-coming blood into this type of a stock to reinvigorate the brand and help their future growth plans. Second reason I'm bullish on this stock is the ongoing COVID-19 vaccination plan and rollout. So Walgreens along with CVS are 2 of the front runners in terms of vaccination stations. Now Walgreens has over 9,000 pharmacies in the States, and each vaccination requires 2 shots. So if you can imagine, there's hundreds of millions of Americans that are going to be going into these drugstores to get their vaccinations. They're going to have to go back twice. And when they're in that store, they're going to pick up other stuff. So you don't just generally go in, get a shot, and leave. You're going to be getting your prescriptions, picking up chocolate bars, drinks, coffee, whatever the case is. I think this is really going to help their foot traffic, number one, and it's really going to help their revenue. Walgreens is known as a convenience brand. People go in there when they need to pick something up, or they're on their way to a party or a friend's house or whatever, and they've forgotten to grab something. So I think this injection of people due to the vaccine is really going to drive bottom line profits and top line revenues for them. So this is obviously a massive catalyst for this company, and this is going to be ongoing for probably the next year to year and a half, which I really don't think the market is factoring into their price or into their growth rates. Now, the third and final thing I'm so bullish on with Walgreens right now is actually the sale of their wholesale pharmacy department. So they announced this back kind of middle of last year, and they've decided they're going to get out of the wholesale operation business. So they've actually sold this division off to Amerisource for $6.5 billion. This deal is expected to close later in September, so it hasn't gone through yet, but I don't expect any issues with this. And this is going to be a massive cash injection for this company. Now, the nice thing about this is they're also going to end up with nearly 30% stake in Amerisource. So they still have a large position, large exposure here, but they do get that large cash injection, $6.5 billion cash and stock deal. And that's going to be amazing to actually help them focus on their traditional pharmacy model. They're also investing over $1 billion into what they're calling Village MD, which is going to be 500 to 700 physician-staffed clinics in 30 different markets in the States. So you can actually go in and see a doctor in one of these corner pharmacies or drugstores, which I think is going to be a great opportunity for them, especially with the population demographics as they are now. There's more seniors, there's more people aging. The price of Medicare and healthcare is going up, and I think this is a really good proactive move for them to focus on their core business and actually sell off some of this wholesale operation. So between these three catalysts, I see some big upside for Walgreens. This is a stock that was trading in the high 80s, $90 just a few years ago, and it's pulled back now under $50. Now, there are obviously competitors in this space, number one being CVS. So CVS is about twice the size in terms of market cap as Walgreens. They're sitting just under $94 billion. About $71 per share. You can see here they pay a nice little dividend as well. Walgreens is slightly better, I think about 3.5. They're sitting at 2.8. Now, both companies I think will ultimately do well from the COVID situation and the vaccinations. I've seen CVS as a top pick from a number of analysts lately as well. I ultimately think Walgreens is in a better position because of the three reasons we talked about previously. Because they're a smaller company, I think on a percentage basis they have more upside. But ultimately either one is a strong bet. I've just personally chosen Walgreens in my own portfolio. So to close out the video, I did want to share with you guys my current holdings for Walgreens. I have two different options out right now. 5 total contracts. So the first is a July 16th 45 strike call. So essentially what I've done here is I've gone in and I've said, hey, within the next 165 days, I expect the stock to be above $45. So essentially my break even on this, if you look at my average price, is $8 per contract. If you add that to the strike, it means Walgreens needs to be in the $53 range by July 16th for me to break even. Now, I think they could probably get up into the 60s by midsummer, as this is when a lot of the vaccine catalysts will be in play and we'll start to see that revenue flow through in some of their quarterly results. So I think this is pretty reasonable. I have 2 contracts on this one. You can see right now I'm actually down a little bit. I'm down about $150 between the two. And the delta on this one is 0.65. So I did say I wanted to talk about duration and delta later in the video. There's 2 ways to look at delta. The technical definition is the amount of change per $1 move in the share price. So said another way, if Walgreens goes up by $1, the shares, this option contract would go up by 65 cents. The other way to look at this, and kind of the less technical way, is the percentage of the contract finishing in the money, or the percentage chance that you'll make money on the trade. So the higher the delta here, the higher probability that this trade will end up in the money. So in this situation, it's about a 65% chance that this contract will end up in the money. So it does make sense if you think about it. the farther in the money you buy the initial option, the greater the chances that option will remain in the money or finish in the money at expiration. Now, the other point is expiration itself. So I generally like to buy anywhere from 3 to 12 month options, and I generally like to put a month wiggle room on the end of that. The problem with options and why they're so profitable or risky, depending on how you look at it, is not only do you need to predict the movement of the price of the stock, you also need to predict the duration or time frame that that movement will happen in. Because telling the future is obviously very hard and nobody can do it, I like to give myself a little bit of buffer in terms of duration to avoid losing money or percentage of my investment to theta. And we'll talk about theta, which is essentially the time decay of money, in another video. I'm probably going to put together kind of an options trading class or an option trading series of videos, but we'll get into that one in another day. So for now, general rule of thumb is give yourself a bit of wiggle room on the back end. Now, the second contract I have here is for a January 21st expiration of 2022. So this is getting into kind of a leap type of trade, which is a long-term equity appreciation. So these are options that are dated out a year or more. So at the time of purchase, this was pretty close to a year expiration date. And the nice thing here is you're really giving yourself wiggle room in terms of time. So with this one, I have 3 contracts at a 52.5 strike. So essentially my break even on this would be around $57. And I personally think Walgreens a year from now could be up in the $70, $75 range. So this one offers pretty good upside potential in my personal opinion as well. Now you can see the delta on this one is a little bit lower. This one's a 48% chance of finishing in the money, or 48-cent movement for every dollar movement in the share price itself. Now the thing to be aware of here, and you saw it just happen, is the delta can change in real time. So as the stock price moves, the delta will move in relation to that. So just because it's 0.48 now doesn't mean that that's where it will be a week, a month, a year from now. So those are my 2 current strategies. Overall, I have 5 contracts, and then I do hold a few shares as well. I probably will be looking to add to this if Walgreens continues to downtrend in the short term here, because I really am bullish on this company. Hopefully this video sheds some light onto the reasons as to why I think Walgreens is a good buy. Hopefully you learned something about options. And as always, please remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and have a great rest of your day.